To say that Sonic the Hedgehog suffers from mixed reception would be a huge understatement, and if you've been following the series for the past decade or so, then chances are you'll agree with that. One thing, however, that has remained consistent throughout the ups and downs is the quality of music heard within the games. From Genesis to Dreamcast to modern day, there's a masterpiece around every corner. So today I'll be counting down my top 10 favorite Sonic level themes, since that's where the majority of the music takes place. And boy, let me tell you, it was not an easy task narrowing it down to only 10 entries. I could have made this a top 100 and would still have to leave out some of my favorites. That's the kind of library of music that we're dealing with. Anyway, I won't waste any more time. Let's get started. Number 10. Crystal Cave. Sonic and the Black Knight soundtrack Tales of Knighthood is somewhat of an underrated score, vocal themes aside. I'll admit, I didn't think much of it at first, but after careful reconsideration, I found there to be a handful of standout themes, Crystal Cave being my favorite. I love how it opens up with a fast series of distorted notes that always grabs my attention. Then it takes a small detour with a more simplified hypnotic beat, putting a stronger emphasis on the percussion. But my favorite part is towards the end, where the medieval chanting in the background slowly builds to an inevitable climax, where the verse is eventually repeated. All of this combined creates for a rather conflicting tone. It feels heroic, but also somber. You can't help but second guess yourself while listening to it. Given the premise and setting of the game, it makes sense that the music would take me on some kind of life or death adventure. It has that orchestral charm, making you feel like you're on this epic quest where the stakes are high. It's really good stuff. I wholeheartedly recommend it. Number 9. That's the Way I Like It, for Metal Harbor. Sonic Adventure 2's soundtrack has a very distinct guitar tone. You know it when you hear it. It's very uplifting and lighthearted. It just makes you feel good. And Metal Harbor is one of the best examples I can think of that expresses those feelings. It's like there's a subliminal force behind the music that encourages me to move forward, but without pressuring me to rush through. Well, until I get to the rocket. The whole thing just sounds so happy and always puts a smile on my face. Seeing those large bodies of water off in the distance while hearing this inspires a lot of childlike wonder. Plus, it reminds me a lot of Rico Harbor from Super Mario Sunshine, a game from my childhood, so that gives it a few bonus points. Lastly, I have to mention how exceptionally well it handles its finale. When the song ends, you feel it end, and even though it may be a tad bittersweet, you feel on top of the world, ready for the next adventure. Number 8. Terminal Velocity. Let me take a moment to say how criminally underrated this tune is. When people think of a standout level theme from Sonic Colors, if they don't say Tropical Resort or Planet Wisp, they're probably thinking Asteroid Coaster or Aquarium Park, and for good reason. Those are all fantastic themes. Vivid Sound Hybrid Colors is an A+ soundtrack across pretty much the entire board. Sonic Colors is known for blurring the line between electronic and rock music, and I think that concept gets fully realized in this song. There's a continual build-up throughout, conveying a sense of urgency, which is appropriate given that this is the final level where you're running for your life. But just when you think the verse is over and it's about to loop, it hits you with an unexpected shift in tone that I can't get enough of. Have a listen for yourself. Number 7. Planet Wisp. There's only one word to properly describe this music. Beautiful. I know it may have sounded like Terminal Velocity was my favorite theme from Sonic Colors, but I cannot deny my love for this track. The piano opening is memorable and captivating, but it remains fresh throughout by utilizing faint guitar picking, a bass line, and even a small shredding sequence. I can practically feel the cold wind blowing past my face as I run through the lush, green, open fields. But I can also hear the faint sounds of machinery in the background, slowly taking over the once peaceful Planet Wisp. It's actually a pretty conflicting scenario when you see what's happening in the stage. But either way I look at it, this is one magical tune that I always find myself coming back to. Number 6. Seaside Hill. Before I go any further, I want to give a huge honorable mention to Ocean Palace for having an outstanding guitar solo. It's truly a work of art. But for me, Seaside Hill beats it out by a small margin. It's kind of a hard song to explain though. There isn't one part that I prefer over another, it's pretty consistent from start to finish. It reminds me a lot of Angel Island Zone from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where I feel like I'm exploring this utopian paradise at my leisure, taking note of the many nuances I may come across. It's super chill, laid back, and in all honesty, makes me feel like a little kid again. It's a pleasant experience in its entirety, and always puts me in a good mood. If you're looking for a simple tune to lift your spirits, I recommend this one. It certainly works for me. Number 5. Rooftop Run, Day. Planetary Pieces for Sonic Unleashed was the first fully orchestral soundtrack in the series, making it stand out from the traditional rock-oriented sound. Regardless of the rather large selection though, I always find myself coming back to this track more than the others. There's something truly iconic about it. It flawlessly captures a pure sensation of freedom. I also love how seamlessly the violin and guitar sync up with each other, despite playing different melodies. It's like there are two sides to the song, both unique and distinct on their own. But when united, they form something extraordinary. That's the best way I can describe it. It's an energizing theme that incentivizes you to run forward and forget your troubles. Very akin to the main theme of the game, Endless Possibilities. Listen to it for yourself sometime, and see what kind of journey it takes you on. Number 4. The Inlet for Wave Ocean. Water's Edge, the first half of Wave Ocean, I won't lie, it's pretty sweet. It was a very close contender for the number 4 spot. It does a great job at setting that serene beach tone. Really makes you want to kick back and relax. But when the second half kicks in, you're hit with a rapid succession of never-ending blood-pumping power chords. And although it may appear simplistic at first, the song never fully repeats itself, which is impressive on its own. You can even hear a little bit of Water's Edge mixed in towards the end, tying the two halves together. It's a very appropriate theme too, considering it takes place during the first Mach Speed section of the game, a gameplay style that everyone seems to despise. And while I agree it's dumb that you can't control your jumps in midair, conceptually it's a great idea. Then again, you could say that about the entire game, but I won't get into that. Number 3. Keys the Ruin for Pyramid Cave. In all honesty, I couldn't tell you exactly what I love about this track. It's something you have to experience for yourself. Words wouldn't do it justice. What I can tell you is that it's a marvelously composed guitar piece with incredible fluidity. When I first played Sonic Adventure 2, I already knew about City Escape, Live and Learn, Metal Harbor, and the guilty pleasure Knuckles raps, but no one prepared me for this hidden gem. I was shocked at how quickly it got stuck in my head and how thoroughly I enjoyed it. So I'm glad to see it getting more attention these days. It's been a personal favorite of mine ever since, and I always look forward to it. Number 2. Crank the Heat Up for Final Egg. Now we're talking. If you want something that'll get you fired up, look no further. It should be noted that the first part of Final Egg, Mechanical Resonance, is also outstanding. It's got a funky robotic vibe strewn about it. My pick, though, goes to the head-banging goodness of Crank the Heat Up. For me, no other theme in the entire series does a better job at expressing finality. It feels and sounds climactic, like how every final level should. The composition is perfectly paced. When you grow tired of one sound, it offers up something new, and the instrumental variation is commendable. You have the oh-so-memorable slap bass, electric guitar, brass section, French horns, and various effects used throughout. It all ties together so well that when you make it to the unforgettable climax, climax. Even if you've heard it countless times, you still look forward to it. This is one piece of music I don't ever get tired of hearing. It's simply phenomenal. Number 1. Volcano for Flame Core. That's right, it's not Speed Highway, Green Forest, Egg Fleet, Crisis City, Cool Edge, Tropical Resort, or anything in between. My favorite has always been Flame Core. It has great progression and knows how to build itself up. There's a lot more emotion behind it than you may be led to believe. It disguises that attribute well and requires more focus to hear clearly. And similar to Crank the Heat Up, there's a good amount of variety in both the instrumentation and composition. You can break it up into roughly 5 distinct portions that could legitimately stand on their own. The opening guitar riff, the main guitar melody, a brief period where the slap bass and synthesizer get the spotlight, followed by a small sequence of notes, a secondary guitar melody that leads into a solo, and ultimately, the climax, which is undoubtedly the best part of the song. In fact, this was the first time that I ever put the controller down to stop and hear what was playing. It was mesmerizing. I didn't think that a game so infamous would be able to make me feel something that I couldn't quite understand through its music. On top of that, I think the overall experience is improved when put in the context of the actual stage. The fast-paced guitar correctly matches with the destructive nature of the volcano. There's danger around every corner with boiling hot lava mere inches away. It's very fitting. I should also mention that there's another theme that plays during the second half, known as The Cavern, and it's pretty spectacular as well. It was a decent competitor for number 1. But Volcano is, and probably always will be, my favorite Sonic stage theme. Gives me chills every time. So, that wraps up my 10 personal favorite Sonic level themes. Like I said in the beginning, I had to leave a lot of music out, so there's no need to pull out your pitchforks just because At Dawn wasn't on here. No two lists will be alike. So if you're a fan, please, I encourage you to share what your 10 favorites are. And if you aren't familiar with the series at all, hopefully I was able to introduce you to some great music. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to check out the next episode whenever I post it, which will probably be soon. Alright, see ya.